Happy Thursday. Well, I'm going to continue my conversation from yesterday about do you want to get rich in real estate in 2024? And I think that we are living in some pretty precarious times and some interesting times, right? Hi, I'm Lisa Copeland, and I'm a licensed real estate professional in Texas. I've got the honor of leading a team of about 975 agents from around the country. I've got agents in California, Florida, Arizona, New York, hottest markets, slowest markets. I get to have my pulse on what's going on around the country. I'm here in Central Texas, and National Association of Realtors has just said that with the pent up demand, which I'm going to explain in a minute, Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown, it will be the number one market in the United States of America for pent up demand. So, what does that mean? What does that mean to you if you live in Central Texas? That means that when these interest rates hit sub six, right, below 6%, a conventional loan is sitting at about 6.5 right now, but your govies, your FHA and VA, you're able to get down into the fives. I believe that when these conventional rates go down to anything in the fives, 5.5, 5.75, whatever that looks like, there are going to be people that have been sitting on the fence and they're going to go, okay, it's now time to strike. And that's what this article said from the National Association of Realtors, that these people they're just sitting out there for a lot of reasons. Number one, the difference between an 8% interest rate and a 5.5% interest rate on a $500,000 house is $600 to $800 a month. And they're like, ugh, I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay. But once it gets to the point in somebody's mind where the payment is affordable, that's when they strike. In the last 10 days, I have been so busy with people coming back to me who had thought about listing their houses 6 months ago, who thought about buying a house 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a year ago. And they're like, we're going to hold, we're going to see what the market's doing. Well, the interest rate market is improving. Now, why is it improving? I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons. I mean, I believe it's an election year, right? So, there's some pressure on the Fed. I don't think interest rates curb inflation. I just don't. I don't think it's ever been proven. But things have slowed down a bit. And so now, of course, they're having to go into course correction. And I think that there's a bunch of different reasons. And I think everyone's got their own reasoning behind it. But here's what I do know, that I know to be a fact, that we live in a very strong market. I'm talking about in Central Texas. Arizona is a strong market. Florida is a strong market. Certain parts of California are a strong market. I had Robert McConaughey on yesterday. He's out in San Luis Obispo, one of my top agents, and right there on the Pacific coast. And it's 2 years to be able to even build a house. I mean, there's just nothing for sale out there. And so I believe that depending on what part of the country you're in, there's people, and when we call them that they're sitting on the fence, like they're just watching and waiting. I've got this one client who literally calls me every week. Every week. He's called me every week for 6 months. He's like, okay, what's happening today? What's going on now? What are we going to do? Our interest rate's here. But he hasn't pulled the trigger. So there's lots of those people, like they're kind of paralyzed in fear. And, I'm just here to tell you that when these interest rates go down, it's going to put pressure on the market. There will not be enough listings in many markets, mine included, to be able to there won't be enough inventory for all the demand. So what happens? You go into a supply and demand situation again, all right, where the demand outweighs the supply. Then what happens? You get into multiple offers and it drives the prices up. I'm not trying to freak anybody out. I'm just telling you, this is what I see coming. And I can't tell you when the conventional rates will drop down to 5.5, but they're heading in the right direction. They've dropped about 1.25 points in the last 2.5 weeks. I live with a mortgage person. We own a mortgage company. So, I do have my pulse on what's going on when it comes to Fannie and Freddie. And so I think it's coming. So I guess what I'm trying to relay to people, whether you're working with me or working with someone else, or depending on what part of the country that you live in, I don't know. But as these rates go down, prices are going to go up. So what does that mean to you? That means if you're looking to get into the game, now's the time. Like today, right now, pick up the phone and call your real estate agent and say, okay, I'm ready to get back in the game. We need to start looking. It is going to be a free-for-all when these rates hit. And they're going to hit. Hello, Joe Ingram. How are you, my friend? Um, they are going to hit. They are going to go down. It's an election year, number one. And number two, it was ridiculous what the Fed did. Absolutely ridiculous. It absolutely brought the economy to a screeching halt. And that isn't going to be good for the guy sitting in the White House right now. So whether it's false going down, whether they're going down falsely, or whether, it's truly, inflation's in check, which, I don't know, because it depends on who you read it from and what news outlet you listen to. So I don't know if what's going on there. I do know the economy has slowed enough that the Fed has said in 2024 that they're looking at 3 to 5 rate cuts, right? Which is to prime rate. Commercial lending has all become to a screeching halt when it comes to Class A buildings and things like that. So like all the buildings you're seeing now that are empty because the cap rate, it is so, the NOI, net operating, people can't make any money on commercial because the debt is so high. So, there's a lot of checks and balances that need to even out. What I'm talking to you guys and gals about is the residential market. All right. But that's a big move for us in the last few weeks to see rates drop 1.25. And the indicators are telling us they're going to continue to drop. So if all of, and for this, here's a fun fact. For every 1 point that interest rates drop, it brings 8 million buyers back to the market. 8 million buyers for every point. Okay, so now we already have 8 million more buyers out there than we did, let's just say 60 days ago. Well, what does that do to inventories? Right? What kind of pressure does that put on the inventory if you have that many more people out there? I just had one today. I've got it listed up in Dallas. I listed it 4 days ago. I'm in multiple offers today. I don't know. But it's happening. We're already seeing it. I'm getting the phone calls from people that I've talked to months ago. They're like, oh, I'm not buying anything at 8%, blah, blah, the world's coming to an end, to calling me now going, interesting. Looks like rates are going down. What are your thoughts? What's going to happen? I'm like, my thought is you need to buy a house, because the second they go into multiples or rates get to a certain point where you got 9 people who want the same house, all it's going to do is raise the price of the house. So people are always like, when is the best time? When is the bottom? When is the best time to buy? Well, the best time to buy is today. Okay, I can't predict the bottom. I can say in my head when I think we're going to see that rates at a certain point, house at a certain point, and it hasn't done this yet. I do think I can see that following the trends, and I think that's going to happen in 90 days. I really do. You guys know I have not come on here in the last 6 months and said, you better buy a house today because houses are going to go up in the next 90 to 120 days because we're going to be in an inventory shortage with multiple offers. I haven't said that. All I've said was now's a good time to buy because the asset's on sale, right? Because house prices have come down and come down and come down. And it's not that the market has crashed. It's that they went to more pre-COVID pricing. And what caused everything to go crazy during COVID? Guys and gals, it's supply and demand. We had more buyers in the market than we had inventory on the market, and right, for a lot of reasons. Like people just didn't want their people in their house during COVID. I totally get that. So you had people wanting to move off of the coasts and come into Texas for a multitude of reasons. So you had all these buyers. You had stupid interest rates, 2 and 3%. So you had buyers, you had low interest rates, and then you had low inventory because you had sellers going, I don't want people in my house. So it was like the crazy perfect storm to be able to create what happened in 2020. All right. It was so miserable in 2020. There'd be times if I was listing a house, I would get 10 to 15 offers day one. If I was representing a buyer, I was up against 10 offers on trying to negotiate out and trying to get our clients the house they wanted. I don't think we're going to hit that again. God, I hope not. Like it was just misery for everybody. But I do think that we're going to see 1 to 2 offers on most houses, maybe 3. And all that does is drive up the price. So multifamily, let's say hello from Uzbekistan. Oh, okay. All right. Well, hello, Uzbekistan. Don't even know where that is, to be honest with you. So, what are you going to do? The other thing is, I started sending out to some of my key investor clients last night is what's available on the market from an investment standpoint. Because if interest rates go down, right, they can make more money by buying investment properties, right? Because they're going to make more, they're going to make a bigger spread. They'll have a lower payment, and therefore, they'll make more between the rent and what the payment is. So there's not to overwhelm anybody, but like, I don't ever want it to be that I didn't tell you so, or that I didn't encourage you to get into the game in 2024, because I believe now's the time. Here's a really good loan program that just came out. Let's say, you want to get into the game for the first time and you're a little bit flexible on what your living situation is. Do you know Fannie Mae just came out with a 5% down investor loan? Okay, normally it's 20% down if you're an investor. But if on a multifamily, which is a 2, 3, or 4 door property, okay, duplex, triplex, quadplex, if you live in the property, okay, you got to live in the property. If you live in the property, you can get into that deal for 5% down. Okay, that just saved you 15%. What is the greatest way to build generational wealth? Real estate. You only have to live in the property for a year. You can do that every year. So some of you out there, if you're watching this and you're 25 years old or you're 35 years old, I don't care, 45, or maybe you're 75 and you're on your own. You're like, okay, I'm going to play that game. I'm going to start acquiring investment properties, and I'm willing to live in them for a year because that is the rules. They have to be owner occupied, but 5% down. You live in it, and what you want to do, guys, is live in the cheapest unit and then cash flow the other 2 of the 1, 2, or 3 units. And you'll have somebody else paying for your building. It'll be appreciating, right? So you're going to be building value there in this market, anywhere from 8 to 14% a year. And you're able to take the depreciation on a 27-year schedule to be able to take that off of your taxes. If you play the game right, I've got investor friends and people that don't pay any federal income tax legally because of the depreciation schedule on their assets. There's so many ways to play the game. So if you're out there and you're like, okay, what am I going to do in 2024? I'm sick of having a job. I want to start making generational wealth. I want to start investing in properties. I want to start owning assets. Okay. The only way, let's see, Joe, do you have to live in it, or can I have my mom live there? Good question. Okay. You'd have to co-sign for your mother. So under Fannie and Freddie, Joe, that 5% down is for an owner occupied property. So you could put your mother on the loan and you could co-sign for her. So even if all she's got is Social Security income, you could be her co-signer. Then it would technically be owner occupied and you could acquire properties like that. So that's a great question. If you're a parent out there and you've got a kid in college and you're tired of paying for the frat house, or you're tired of paying for the condo, or you're tired of paying rent, go find a multifamily I'm trying to say building property in that college town, and put your kid on one side. Now you have to put them on the loan. So it's a great way. They got to be 18 years old. Great way for them to build credit. You co-sign for it. You now have and it's all legitimate. And you have a multifamily building or house. And then you have your kid live there and then have someone else pay the rent on the other side. A much cheaper way than paying for dorms. Joe, you are brilliant. Let's see. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I have not been called brilliant today. So I'm just telling you guys and gals the way it is. Okay. Give me a call. You guys know how to get a hold of me. Send me a DM. I'm happy to think through what your investment strategy will be. I really believe that what I'm telling you is the truth. We have a 3 to 4 month window. We're going to be coming into an election year in November. The Fed's going to be, they're going to start making cuts. I promise you, there is tremendous pressure on the Fed chair and the overnight rate and all of that coming into this election year, that he starts cutting rates and bringing these mortgage rates back in line. Now, cutting the rates with the Fed does not equate to mortgage rates. All right, mortgage rates are tied to treasuries, but the market looks at, the treasury bonds look at what is happening with the Fed, and then the market responds accordingly. And that's what drives down mortgage rates. So anyways, that being said, it's time. It's time to get your house on the market. It's time for you to pick out where you want to live. It's time, it's time, it's time. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. I just wanted to explain a little bit more about what I did yesterday with that panel of experts that I had on. I had California, I had Florida, I had Dallas, Texas, I had Central Texas, and then I had the VP of Capital Title on there because they're the largest title company in all of Texas, and they're seeing the land deals that are going down. And Cindy Yates said yesterday that the developers, the land guys, the people that are building neighborhoods and subdivisions, that they're going back and now they're starting to close on the land that they had LOIs on. What does that mean? That means I'm right. That means that the builders are starting to build again. Okay, when the builders start building, that's your first sign. That's your first sign that things are picking up or going to pick up. When they go and they start taking down lots and they start taking down the dirt and the subdivisions, that means they know what I know is going to happen. There is going to be a large demand for housing, and they're ready to get back in the game. So hey, watch what your local builders are doing. If you're driving through your town and you start to see subdivisions and you're driving through and you're seeing where they're clearing massive amounts of land and you see the pipes starting to stick up, which is the electrical and stuff and the water, sewer, you better get in the market. Because when the builders start planning to build 200 to 500 houses in a subdivision in your market area, that means that they know what you may not know, but what I know is coming. And that is a bunch of buyers are going to jump in the market. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great day, and I'll be back. All right, take care.